Summary of the novel. Wuthering Heights. Author, Emily Brontë. Chapter 1. Lockwood's visit to Wuthering Heights. In 1801, Lockwood, a gentleman from the city, rents Thrushcross Grange in Yorkshire for solitude. He visits his landlord, Heathcliff, at Wuthering Heights, a bleak, windswept manor on the moors. Lockwood acts as the frame narrator, later recounting the tale through the housekeeper Nellie Dean's words. Heathcliff is a gruff, dark man living with his young daughter-in-law, Catherine and Catherine Earnshaw, a rough youth. Trapped by a snowstorm, Lockwood stays overnight and dreams of a ghost, Catherine Linton, crying to be let in at the window, chilling him to the core. The eerie atmosphere and ghostly visions spark Lockwood's curiosity. Back at the Grange, he asks Nellie about Heathcliff's past, unraveling a tragic story of love, revenge, and haunting passion. Chapter 2. Heathcliff's early years. Nellie begins her tale over 30 years earlier, when Mr. Earnshaw, the former master of Wuthering Heights, brings home Heathcliff, a dark-skinned orphan found on the streets of Liverpool. Earnshaw treats him like a son, naming him after a lost child, despite the family's objections. Catherine, Earnshaw's young daughter, quickly bonds with Heathcliff, and they spend their days roaming the moors, exploring hidden caves, forming an unbreakable connection. However, Hindley, Catherine's older brother, despises Heathcliff, seeing him as an intruder in their family. When Mr. Earnshaw dies suddenly of illness, Hindley becomes the master. Fueled by resentment, he abuses Heathcliff, reducing him to a servant, beating and humiliating him. Despite the cruelty, Heathcliff and Catherine's bond grows stronger, rooted in the wild freedom of the moors. Chapter 3. A Love Born on the Moors. Catherine and Heathcliff grow up in the untamed Yorkshire landscape, their friendship blossoming into a fierce, soul-deep love. They escape Hindley's tyranny by wandering the moors, where the wind sweeps through purple heather and ancient rocks, their sanctuary of freedom. One day, they're caught spying on the wealthy Linton family at Thrushcross Grange through a glowing window. A dog bites Catherine, and she's kept there to recover, while Heathcliff is chased away as a beggar. She meets Edgar Linton, a refined, wealthy boy, the opposite of the wild Heathcliff. Catherine returns to Wuthering Heights transformed, dressed in elegant gowns, making Heathcliff feel inferior and distant. Yet her heart remains tied to him, though societal expectations begin to create a rift between the two lovers. Chapter 4. A Heartbreaking Confession. Catherine is drawn to Edgar Linton's gentle charm and wealth, and he soon proposes to her. One stormy night, in the warm kitchen of Wuthering Heights, she confides in Nellie that marrying Heathcliff would degrade her status, despite loving him more than life itself, as he's poor and without prospects. Unbeknownst to her, Heathcliff overhears. Devastated by her words, Heathcliff flees into the rainy night without a word, leaving Catherine anxious and regretful. She senses his anger but doesn't know the true reason for his departure, assuming he's upset by her recent behavior. Catherine accepts Edgar's proposal, hoping a stable life will erase Heathcliff from her mind. But deep down, she cannot erase his memory, and her longing for him begins to torment her soul day by day. Chapter 5. Heathcliff's Vengeful Return. 3 years later, Heathcliff returns, now wealthy and dressed in fine clothes, but his eyes burn with cold hatred. No one knows how he gained his fortune. Rumors whisper of gambling or smuggling, but his intent is clear: revenge on those who scorned him in the past. He visits Catherine at Thrushcross Grange often, provoking Edgar with sharp words and menacing glares. Meanwhile, Heathcliff manipulates Hindley, now a drunkard and gambler, into debt, gradually seizing control of Wuthering Heights through heavy loans and cunning deals. Catherine is torn apart, caught between her fiery love for Heathcliff and her calm marriage to Edgar. The emotional strain takes a toll, and her health begins to falter under the weight of her conflicting desires. Chapter 6. Catherine's Tragic Death. Pregnant with Edgar's child, Catherine grows increasingly unstable, haunted by Heathcliff's presence as he stirs her deepest emotions. After a heated argument with both Edgar and Heathcliff over her torn loyalties, she falls gravely ill, slipping into a delirious state. In her final hours, Catherine calls for Heathcliff, dreaming of their carefree days on the moors. Heathcliff sneaks into the grange, holding her in a desperate embrace, begging her not to leave him. She dies shortly after giving birth to a daughter, named Cathy. Heathcliff howls in anguish at her deathbed, cursing fate and the world. Catherine's death marks the beginning of his descent into a path of destruction, vowing to make everyone around him suffer as he does. Chapter 7. Heathcliff's revenge unfolds. Heathcliff sets his revenge in motion with ruthless precision. He marries Isabella Linton, Edgar's sister, not for love but to torment her family. Isabella soon realizes his cruelty and writes to Nellie, begging for help, describing her life as a mental hell. Unable to be rescued in time, she flees and gives birth to Linton Heathcliff in southern England. Hindley dies in debt, leaving Wuthering Heights entirely to Heathcliff. Heathcliff raises Hindley's son, Hareton, as a servant, denying him education to spite the Earnshaw family. When Isabella dies years later, Heathcliff brings the frail Linton back to the Heights. Despite his power, Heathcliff finds no peace. He visits Catherine's grave often, digging into the earth to see her face, pleading for her ghost to haunt him, as it's the only way he feels alive. Chapter 8. The Next Generation's Fate. Cathy, daughter of Catherine and Edgar, grows up at Thrushcross Grange, gentle and kind but with her mother's stubborn streak. She meets Hareton and Linton Heathcliff while exploring near Wuthering Heights, unaware of Heathcliff's plans to ensnare her in his schemes. Heathcliff forces Linton, a sickly boy, to marry Cathy while Edgar lies on his deathbed, weakened by years of grief over Catherine's death and fear for his daughter's future. The rushed marriage, orchestrated as Edgar dies, leaves Cathy powerless to resist, securing Heathcliff's claim to the Grange. Cathy is trapped at Wuthering Heights, enduring Heathcliff's cruelty, but she begins to see Hareton's genuine kindness. Heathcliff, despite his success, remains tormented, seeing Catherine everywhere, her voice echoing in the wind. Chapter 9. Heathcliff's Mysterious End. Heathcliff descends into madness, refusing food, obsessed with reuniting with Catherine. He tells Nellie of nights when he hears her voice on the moors, seeing her in dreams and even while awake, as if she beckons him from beyond the grave. One stormy night, he opens the window of Catherine's old room, standing in the cold wind, whispering her name. The next morning, Nellie finds him dead on the bed. No illness, no injury, just wide eyes and a strange smile, his death shrouded in supernatural mystery. Locals whisper that Heathcliff and Catherine's ghosts roam the moors, their voices mingling with the howling wind. His eerie death closes a chapter of torment, leaving behind a legacy of pain and unfulfilled love. Chapter 10. Cathy and Hareton's Redemption. After Heathcliff's death, Cathy and Hareton grow closer. At first, she scorns his roughness, but she soon sees his warm heart as he strives to learn, eager to please her despite his neglected upbringing. Their love blooms like a flower amidst the ruins of Wuthering Heights. Cathy teaches Hareton to read, and they tend the garden together, turning it into a symbol of renewal. They eventually leave the haunted heights to start anew at Thrushcross Grange. Lockwood, having heard the tale from Nellie, departs the region, leaving behind Wuthering Heights, a place of sorrowful memories but also a faint glimmer of hope through the younger generation's healing love. Chapter 11. The Haunting Moors of Yorkshire. Wuthering Heights is more than a house. It's a symbol of rage, love, and suffering. The Yorkshire moors, with their cold winds sweeping through heather and fog-cloaked hills, seem to hold the anguish of the story's characters, from Catherine to Heathcliff. Though dead, Catherine and Heathcliff leave a lasting mark. Locals claim that on windy nights, their laughter and cries echo across the moors, a reminder of a love that transcends life and death itself. Cathy and Hareton bring healing to the land, but the memories of the past linger, making Wuthering Heights a place of lost souls, forever caught in the winds of the desolate moors. Chapter 12. The Nature of Fierce Love. The novel portrays Catherine and Heathcliff's love as a blazing fire, beautiful yet destructive. They are not just lovers but two halves of one soul, defying social norms, morality, and even death. Their passion is both their strength and their curse, binding them eternally. Heathcliff, though cruel in his revenge, is a victim of circumstance and unbearable loss. His actions stem from a heart unable to live without Catherine, even if it leads him to darkness and despair. The story ends with Cathy and Hareton's reconciliation, but Catherine and Heathcliff's intense love remains the core, raising questions about the nature of passion, sacrifice, and the possibility of redemption. Chapter 13. The Eternal Legacy of Wuthering Heights. Months later, Lockwood returns to Thrushcross Grange and sees Cathy teaching Hareton to read, their love blossoming like a beacon of light in the darkness. He visits the graveyard where Catherine, Heathcliff, and Edgar rest beneath mossy stones, wondering if they've found peace. Cathy and Hareton break the cycle of suffering left by their parents. They plant flowers around Wuthering Heights, a farewell to its dark past, and build a happy life at the Grange, where light finally dawns after years of gloom. The novel closes with the moors calm under a setting sun, but the wind still howls, carrying the eternal love story of Catherine and Heathcliff, echoing forever in the wild expanse of Yorkshire.